Welcome to another conversation in Life Beyond Cancer, a series from the Unexpected Detour, wherein life detours are inevitable. Today, I'd like to share a part of my survivorship journey that I don't think we talk enough about. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I did what I believe many of us do. I started looking for people who understood what I was going through. Family and friends can love us deeply, but unless they've walked this journey themselves, there are some things they can't understand. So during my treatment, I joined several breast cancer support groups on Facebook. At first, those groups were exactly what I needed. I found women who understood the fear of waiting for test results, the anxiety before treatments, the uncertainty that comes with every doctor's appointment, and the emotional roller coaster that cancer brings into your life. There was comfort in knowing I wasn't walking this road alone. But as time went on, something began to change. I found myself reading posts every day every day. One woman had just been diagnosed, another had learned her cancer had returned, someone else was beginning chemotherapy, another family member was grieving the loss of someone they love. Without realizing it, I wasn't just carrying my own journey anymore. I was carrying everyone else's. Every time I opened Facebook, I found myself emotionally pulled back into my own experience. Their stories reminded me of my story. Their fears reminded me of my fears. Their uncertainty reminded me of the uncertainty I'd lived through. I remember talking with one of my oncology nurses about how I was feeling. I told her that those Facebook groups were beginning to affect me emotionally. She listened carefully, and then she said something so simple that I've never forgotten. She said, "Don't you go on there anymore if they're not serving you." And I said, "Okay." Then she smiled and she said, "Maybe you should start your own group." And I smiled back at her and I said, "Maybe I should." At the time, I didn't realize how much those few words would stay with me. I made the difficult decision to leave those groups, not because I stopped caring, not because I lacked compassion, and certainly not because I wanted to ignore what other survivors were going through. I stepped away because I realized I needed to heal emotionally. I needed to protect my peace. I needed room to breathe without reliving cancer every time I opened social media. That decision taught me something I've never forgotten. Healing looks different for every survivor. What helps us during one season of our journey may not be what we need in the next. For me, stepping away wasn't giving up on other survivors, it was choosing to take care of myself. Sometimes we give ourselves permission to rest physically, but we forget we also need to give ourselves permission to rest emotionally. Looking back now, I often think about what my nurse said. Maybe you should start your own group. I don't think either one of us knew what that would eventually come. Today, I have the privilege of creating spaces where people with breast cancer can come together through conversations about survivorships. Places where we can be honest, places where we can encourage one another, places where we can acknowledge the hard days without allowing them to define us. Looking back, I realized my nurse wasn't just giving me advice about Facebook, she was giving me permission to heal. She was reminding me that protecting my emotional well being wasn't selfish, it was necessary. Cancer taught me many things. It taught me to appreciate ordinary days. It taught me that healing isn't only physical, it's emotional, it's physical, it's mental. And perhaps one of the greatest lessons I learned is that I don't have to feel guilty about protecting my peace. If you're listening today and you've ever stepped away from something because you realized it was affecting your emotional well being, I want to encourage you. Give yourself grace. Healing isn't about pretending something doesn't hurt. Healing is recognizing what you need in order to keep moving forward. For me, stepping away from those support groups wasn't the end of my compassion, it was the beginning of my healing. And today, I am grateful that I listened. Thank you for joining me for another conversation in Life Beyond Cancer. Until our next conversation, continue living beyond cancer, not just surviving it. I am Frances Hammond. Thank you for listening. Before we end today's conversation, I'd like to ask one small favor. If this conversation spoke to you, encouraged you, or reminded you that you're not alone, please help me reach other survivors by liking this video, subscribing to my YouTube channel, and turning on notifications so you'll know when the next conversation is released. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or another streaming platform, please follow The Unexpected Detour so you never miss a new conversation in Life Beyond Cancer. And if you know a cancer survivor, a caregiver, or someone who has just begun this journey, please share this conversation with them. You never know how much hope a single conversation can bring. Thank you for being a part of this community and for allowing me to share my part of my journey with you. Until our next conversation, continue living beyond cancer, not just surviving. Thank you for listening.